All right. Are you ready for my prediction?
Your what?
My prediction. I'm going to say something and then it's going to come true.
Okay.
I predict that this episode of the David and Hillary Show is going to be great.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's an opinion and not really provable.
Okay, that's fair. All right, how about this? I predict that I will think that this episode of the David and Hillary Show is great.
Well, you got a high percentage chance of that one coming true, but for two reasons that you might not be thinking of.
Okay.
Number one, because you wrote most of it.
True.
And number two, because you famously have a reputation for overselling things.
What? I would never. Let's do this. Overselling, I like to think of it as my incredibly positive attitude just oozing over into everyday life.
Okay. Well, call it whatever you want to. I am happy that I get to live with someone who's more positive than negative. That's a good thing.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, pictures from the week. Are you ready?
Yeah, show and tell. I mean, show and tell is going to be spring probably
Yeah.
just until it runs out because I love it so much.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah, our first one this week is a little Dutch iris. You can't tell from the picture, but it's tiny.
They are so cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. And these were freebies. There are so many things in our yard that were gifts from customers.
Yep.
Just like, hey, you want to dig out a couple of these? We're like, yes, we do. Thank you.
Yeah. I don't ever do this on purpose, but the best way to get something from somebody's garden is to tell them how much you like it.
Gardeners like to share because they love
And then
it
they're
too.
like, oh, these grow and divide
Yeah.
pretty quickly. Would
Take
you like
some.
some?
Yeah. We have one
Yes.
customer. He'll just start digging things up and give us little buckets.
Right.
Here, stick this in the ground.
Yeah.
I love it.
It'll grow. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
We had our first clematis blooming this week. So we got 3 or 4 of this color. I don't remember the names of any of these. We've had them for so long, but the burgundy clematis is very pretty.
Yeah.
And then this is a spiderwort. This is another one that's very small. It almost looks like a clump of small iris or something, the way the greenery is. But yeah, the little 3-leafed flowers, and they're just starting. We're going to have a ton of those.
Is this the one that's,
Sweet Kate?
yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yep. This is a honeysuckle vine, and I'm so bad with names. I don't remember the variety that this is, but we really like that one. We got this one probably 3 years ago.
Yeah. This was at the native plant sale.
Yeah, that's probably why it's doing so well.
It's doing great. Yeah.
Yeah, that's on a trellis. And then here is one of our rhododendron. This is a hybrid. Rhododendrons and azaleas. You can't say that too fast. It just becomes a bowl of
Anemone.
mush.
I tell you, we're going to do hard words.
Okay. But typically old school rhododendrons have bigger blooms. This looks kind of like an azalea, but it gets huge. And when we bought it, I do remember that it said it was a rhododendron.
And we have an old school behind it.
Yeah, that one hasn't started blooming yet.
Yeah.
It's got buds all over it, but it hasn't opened up. Yeah, and the reason some of these don't look better is because we have had the rainiest spring, and not just a lot of rain, but crazy
tornadoes.
rain.
Yeah,
Storms,
crazy wind.
hail. We woke up one night in the middle of the night, hail just pelting the roof, and I was like, oh my gosh, are we gonna have any flowers left at all?
We're going to have to get a new gazebo cover. I was hoping to stretch it out one more season. I was like, oh, I'm so thrifty. And then the hail just
Nope.
tore it apart.
It's like a canvas material. Now it's a canvas material with holes in it.
It's like Swiss cheese. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, here's dogwood that's really pretty, I think. It's I tried to get a red dogwood. All dogwoods are pretty much in the white or pink category, but some of the whites are more ivory or almost a light creamy yellow. Some of the pinks are pretty dark, almost a red. And so this is on the redder side of the pink dogwoods. And then there's an azalea behind it.
That azalea is a very fancy azalea. It has a chipmunk hole at the bottom of it.
It's a chipmunk condo.
It's pretty bougie. Yeah. We have a very fancy chipmunk that has dug a hole and lives under this beautiful azalea.
I think he has tunnels that go under our entire yard.
Yeah.
He and his kin.
Yeah. But this is where the fancy ones live.
Yeah, fun fact, we have multiple chipmunks, but we can't tell them apart. So we just call them all Chippy.
Chippy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There goes Chippy. So this is that same azalea, but a better, closer view. And this is after one of the rain storms. And I don't feel like maybe the picture doesn't show it as well as I would like it to, but it's just beat down from the rain. And there it is a few days later after it perked back up and the sun got all the flowers to go from down to up.
Yeah, and pretty soon we're going to have some of those irises. Hopefully they can bloom together
Yeah,
with the azalea. That'd be gorgeous.
that would. A lot of times it blooms with the dogwood, which you can see in the background of this picture, but the dogwood's really taking a beating from the storms. This is our little Japanese maple that's leafing out and doing, it's just sticks and twigs in the winter, and it's looking really good. I don't think we have time for the story of this one. We'll have to remember to tell that another
yeah.
time. It's a fun story, but I know we have a lot
Yeah.
planned for this episode.
Well, and when we tell this story, we have to also take some pictures of the redbud because I like to tell the story with the two trees. So we'll have to tell those together.
Yep, we'll have to remember to do that. This is a fun one. We have what's called a Mandarin Lights azalea, which is orange. I believe it's from Asia, and it's just amazing. But the bud in the background is what most of the we've got 3 bushes, and that's what most of them look like right now. The one in the front is like, here's a little hope, although it's supposed to frost tonight, so hopefully it doesn't hurt it. It's been a crazy spring, but yeah.
Yep.
So there's just another one of the dogwood and the irises that are about to bloom, and the azalea. Just I like the montage of the different things together. And here's irises with hope.
Yeah.
They look like big pea pods. They're getting ready to bust out buds, which of course will become blooms. And here's a fern that we bought a couple years ago, I think, and all the new stuff coming up. I don't know. I think fiddleheads refers to a specific type of plant, and this isn't that, but that's what it always makes me think of when it sends up the new shoots.
I think it's funny how, we've been gardening for at least three decades together, and it's funny how we go through phases. We never had ferns before, and then we took the one trip out to Iris City Gardens, and they just had some beautiful, unique ferns, and now I'm in love with them.
Yeah.
I want ferns everywhere. I
Yeah.
love them, but it's funny how you change.
Well,
It's like when you get older.
we don't need to talk about that right now.
Okay.
This, I don't know. This isn't the last one, but this is our lilac bush that's just a couple years old, and it's growing and growing. And this is this is just a close up. None of these look great from far away because, again, we still haven't cleaned up our garden, but the lilac's looking good and smelling good.
Yeah.
This is a whole row of Kwanzan cherries that we saw when we were out driving around, and Kwanzan is one of my favorite blooming trees. You can, on the next picture, you'll see why I love it so much, because they look good from a distance, but when you look at them up close, it looks like the tree is just full of thousands of pink carnations.
This is such a girly tree. It's such
well,
a beautiful.
I just said it was one of my favorites, so I don't know what you're trying
You
to
like
say.
girly things. You do. In Michigan, when we were painting our dining room, you were like, let's paint it pink.
Well, it had to match the wallpaper, which was on part of the walls, but not
Yeah.
the whole.
But
it
I was thrilled.
very Victorian with flower pattern because I like
You
flowers.
love flowers. You do.
Yeah.
You love flowers. And I was thrilled. I was like, yeah, let's paint it pink. It was a deep rose. It wasn't pink.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. Thank you.
Well, it was beautiful, and you're welcome.
You also like manly things.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Trying to give people the wrong impression. We're going to have a talk. We should do more pre-planning before we start these episodes. And then there's one more picture. It just, it's
Gorgeous.
crazy cool what that tree looks like.
What
All the spring flowering trees are too short-lived in terms of their blooms, but I try to soak it up when it's happening.
What are the 3? There's 3 types of cherry trees that we get, and they come in order, right?
Yeah, most of them are Okami, which is or Okame. I don't know. I can never remember how to say it
That's the first one.
because people don't say it the same way. But that's like a pink cherry, and then Yoshino is the mostly white with a hint of pink cherry, which is what we have in our yard. And then Kwanzaa is the pink one that looks like it's full of carnations.
Yeah. I love them. I love them.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite?
Probably the Kwanzaa, which I had plans to get one and hasn't happened yet. But anyway,
put it on the list.
put it on the list.
All right. Well, thank you, David, for that beautiful picture tour. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. I believe, mentioned last week, we're still kind of talking a little bit about reasons why we believe that the Bible is true. And so specifically this week, we wanted to look at some of the prophecies that Jesus fulfilled, prophecies that were written before he came, which from our view, looking back at when the Bible was written, we're talking about Old Testament prophecies that Jesus then came to earth and fulfilled, proving that he was and is the Son of God. So, Hillary, you did most of the research on this, and I appreciate it. I worked on something else that I'll be sharing later. But we want to look at the prophecies. Where do you want to go?
Well, I thought the first thing we would do is kind of like what you've done before and define it, because maybe people wouldn't know exactly what that meant. In the Bible, prophecy generally refers to like a divine message, a message that is from God, not from man. And so it's like God's communication to humanity. And sometimes it foretells like future events. It doesn't have to do that. It could be just a word, a message from God.
Yeah.
But basically, when somebody says prophecy, especially in the Old Testament, it means God's message. And it would usually come through a prophet, a
Usually
man of
means
God.
a prediction of things to come.
Right. It can be both. And so, but yes, a lot of it was something to come. In the New Testament, I was doing a little bit of research, and it was said that it's also considered a spiritual gift, and it's used for building up, for the encouragement of the church. And, I've always heard the words edify and exhort, but I don't know if I could have told you the difference between the two.
Yeah.
So I did I did a little bit of looking.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did. So, the purpose of prophecy is to edify, which would mean to instruct or to improve.
Okay.
And then to exhort is like to strongly encourage.
Okay.
And then also to comfort. So to edify, to exhort, to comfort the people of God.
Okay. So to teach them, to help them be smarter or wiser in the things, in the ways of God.
Mm-hmm. And then to encourage them.
To encourage them.
To do those things. To
Not
exhort.
just encourage like, hey, you're doing great.
Right. But I strongly encourage you should do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Point people in the right direction. Mm-hmm. Okay.
But then we come to specifically messianic prophecies. And so that would be...
Meaning the coming of God to earth.
Yeah.
As the Messiah to lead his people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Old Testament is just full of prophecies, words from God about the Messiah that he was going to send.
Right.
It's really exciting.
A lot more than people probably think, because we did look at some of this together. So you said that you found how many messianic prophecies?
Well, nobody really agrees.
Of course, it has to do with the Bible. Of course, nobody agrees.
The range that I think I saw was between 300 and in the 500s, but that's a lot.
Well, even at 300, that's a lot.
Yeah. On the lower end, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So again, nobody really agrees about that, but I think you could safely say there's several that we could point to and say, oh yeah, this definitely points to a Messiah.
Yeah.
But we've been reading through the Bible with our church, and
Yep.
we got all the way through Deuteronomy together. It was a lot of law,
Yeah.
but there was one of the laws that spoke about
Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy.
that was
That was
a lot.
A lot.
Yeah. Yep. But we thank you, Lord, for your word.
Well, it is his word, and it's in there for a reason. But
It
go ahead
is.
with what you were going to say.
So Deuteronomy 18:20, we were talking about prophecy, but also there is a warning from the Lord, and not just here. I think it's also in Deuteronomy 13, but it talks about the punishment for someone who turns out to be a false prophet.
Yeah.
And so, it's not really to be taken lightly that someone would say, "Oh, I have a word from the Lord." It says in Deuteronomy 18:20, but the prophet who presumes to speak a word in my name that I have not commanded him to speak, or who speaks in the name of other gods, that same prophet shall die.
Wow.
So
That's serious.
yeah.
We're not messing around.
And it says, and if you say in your heart, how may we know the word that the Lord has not spoken? Because that would be important to know, right?
Yeah.
If someone comes and says, hey, the Lord said this, how can you know? It says, when a prophet speaks in the name of the Lord, if the word does not come to pass or come true, that is a word the Lord has not spoken.
Exactly.
The prophet has spoken it presumptuously. You need not be afraid of him.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. There are a lot of things that are predictions and a lot of things that are not holy or presented as holy. Like, I just watched the March Madness, the national championship game last night.
Right.
So that's when this is being recorded in 2025. And Houston was ahead almost the entire game. At one point they were up 12, and I almost turned it off. I was like, this is over. There's no way. There's no way Florida's going to come back, and they did. And they did. And I don't really like gambling. I think a lot of people lose a lot of money that they can't afford to lose gambling, but whatever. Everybody can do their own thing. But I'm sure there were a lot of predictions before that game and partway through that game about how that game was going to end up, and a lot of people were surprised. But that has nothing to do with God or predicting who is the Messiah or what the end of the world is going to look like. So that's kind of a different thing.
mm-hmm.
But when you're talking about predicting godly things, or this is the beginning of the end times or whatever, I think you need to be really careful. If there are a lot of people out there saying a lot of things, and if someone starts making predictions, whether they call them prophecies or not, about things that are related to the Bible and predicting what is to come and what is of God or not of God, and then you kind of go, oh, yeah, he said that 2 weeks ago and it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Or he said it wouldn't happen and it did. That's when you, at the very least, because it's not up to us to say that the prophet's going to die or whatever, but that's when I can't trust that person. If they're saying this is going to happen and the time passes and it doesn't happen, then that's, like kind of one strike, you're out as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
Because a lot of times those people are telling you they're a prophet.
Yeah.
I'm a prophet and I'm telling you blah, blah, blah. And then if it doesn't happen the way they said,
yeah,
I'm crossing you
discredited.
off. Nope.
Yeah. I think when we first got married, I kind of picked up something from you that was really different. And I think a lot of people do this. You feel so confident about something, you start talking about it as though it's definitely going to happen. And I would do that. I do have a very positive attitude. I am very confident and,
Yes,
I
you
get
do.
excited about things. And so I would say things like, oh, well, when we do this and when we do this and when we do this, and you would back up and you'd say, well, let's say it like this. If this happens, if we get to do this, and I didn't like it. Because like, no, I don't want it to be an if. I want it to be a when. But you know what? I really took stock of that and I thought, no, actually that is the better way to do it, because I have so little control over my life. Like I'd like to think that I do, but I don't. And the better way, even in the scripture, it says, if the Lord wills, we'll do this and that. And
Yeah.
and so I think more people are like the way that I used to be. They just feel so sure of it.
Yeah. And I think people, there is a phrase, speak it into existence. There's another frame of mind that says you just say it and then you make it happen. You're more likely to do it if you say it or speak positively about it. So, I don't think all of that stuff is evil or wrong or whatever, but I used to get myself really pumped up about certain things, and then just life got crazy and it couldn't happen. We couldn't follow through on that, or the money didn't come through or whatever. And I just learned by experience that I would rather say, and part of it is from the Bible, to say, if it be the Lord's will, this is what will happen. And I noticed that my parents and grandparents had a tendency more to talk that way. That, like we hope to do that. We will try to do that. But it's better not to make definitive statements about things where, if you're really honest, you know that you don't have 100% control over it.
Right. I had some New Testament scriptures about false prophets.
Let's hear it.
So there is Matthew 7:15. It says, beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. You will recognize them by their fruits. I think it's really important to, like you said, watch and listen. And
Yeah.
if people are saying things that do not come true, or they're making bold predictions that aren't correct, you really need to be very cautious. Wow. Just pulling all the words out.
We went from hard words to say to brand new words.
Brand new words.
That no one's ever said before.
I would like to make sure I get credit for that when it becomes popular.
Be cautious. Okay.
All right. Can you read 1 John 4:1?
I'm sure I can.
Probably better than I can.
Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God. For many false prophets have gone out into the world.
Yeah. So we're supposed to check their fruit. We're supposed
Yep.
to test the spirits. And then Matthew 24, Jesus was speaking. He said, for false Christs and false prophets will arise and perform great signs and wonders so as to lead astray, if possible, even the elect. And then he says, see, I have told you beforehand, which I love, that even in the passage where he's warning his disciples about false prophets, he is making a bold prediction, because he can, because he knows everything.
Well, he knows the future.
He does.
Yeah. He has the advantage to
He is
do that.
He has a safe voice to listen to.
That's right.
So yeah, I love it. All right. So we already talked
Did
about.
you want to read verses 26 and 27 also?
Sure, we can. So continuing on, he said, so if they say to you, look, he is in the wilderness, do not go out. If they say, look, he is in the inner rooms, do not believe it. For as the lightning comes from the east and shines as far as the west, so will be the coming of the Son of Man.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, looking forward to that day.
Yes. Well, you found a book that had a lot of cool stuff in it.
Yeah, I was thinking you could buy that book for me.
Yeah, this is something you better definitely put an if in front of.
Yeah,
If you can find your way clear. The book is Science Speaks by Peter Stoner. It's actually compiled and edited by James George, and this apparently became a sought-after book that didn't have tons and tons of copies because it was originally published in 1958, and now, if you would like one, you might be able to buy one on eBay for...
Or I think it was a thrift store that I found that on.
Okay, I thought the
Yeah.
thrift store was posting it on eBay, but
Oh,
wherever
maybe,
it was,
maybe. I don't know.
it was a mere $300.
Yeah, but we could save a little money and get it off Amazon. There was a revised third edition in 1969. Yeah. And that one is only $1,500.
Yeah.
So,
That
and
reminds me of one of my favorite stories. A friend of ours said my wife came home and said she saved me all this money by buying things that were half off. And he was like, yeah, but you didn't need any of those things. You didn't save me any money. You could have just not bought them. So we're gonna save
Yeah.
money and buy the $1,500 one.
well, and like you mentioned before, I did the research on this part of the book. What I realized is the book is Science Speaks by
Okay.
Peter Stoner, and then this next part that we're going to talk about was something that James George compiled from the book and edited this document to show some of the probabilities from the messianic prophecies being fulfilled. So I think the book is by Peter Stoner, and then I don't know if the book was also with James George, but he had a hand in editing some of this work.
All right. Well,
So-
thanks for clearing that up.
Yeah, I just want to make sure if we give the correct credit.
Yeah.
All right, so you ready to dive in?
Yeah, so you had mentioned earlier that there are at least 300 prophecies in the Old Testament that predict who the Messiah will be, or something about the Messiah that would be an identifying key that you would look for.
Yes.
And so now we're going to look at a total of 8 of them. I'm not sure we're going to get through all of them on this episode, but if we don't, we'll finish them up next time.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So 8 messianic prophecies that were fulfilled in the life of Jesus. So the whole point of this is that these prophecies come out and are recorded in the Bible. Mm-hmm. But the Messiah would have, in order for the Messiah to be the Messiah, in order for someone to be the Messiah, they would have to fulfill this prophecy. And Jesus fulfilled all of them.
Exactly. And what was interesting about what they did in this book is they wanted to figure out what would be the probability of fulfilling each one of just these 8 prophecies. So,
Or even just number 1.
yeah. So let's just start. Number 1, the prophecy is in Micah 5:2, and it says that the Messiah will be born in Bethlehem.
Yeah.
And so the average population of Bethlehem from the time of Micah, the prophet, to the present when this book was written was 1958.
Yep.
So he divided the average population of the earth during that same period. It was
2 billion, excuse me.
divided by how many people were probably present at the time of Micah. So he said it was about 7,150. So he divided that and came out to 2.8 times 10 to the 5th power. So that is, it's not likely that,
It would be 1 in that.
yes, 1 in, 2 times 8 times 10 to the 5th power. There's a lot of math here, and all I know is the numbers are big and the probabilities are small.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what that would be, but I don't want to say in case I'm wrong.
Okay.
All right, so yeah, that's good luck.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Number 2.
Number 2. Number next.
Why don't you do that one?
Well, it says a messenger will prepare the way for the Messiah in Malachi 3:1. So, and some people who are skeptics say, well, I mean, that's pretty vague. What does that even mean, to prepare the way for the Messiah? So we know from being all these years later and studying all of this that that's talking about John the Baptist, or at least we believe he's the one that fulfills that prophecy. So one man in how many the world over has had a forerunner? In this case, again, John the Baptist, prepare his way. So this was estimated to be 1 in 1,000, which to me sounds low, but
Yeah.
or 1 in 1 times 10 to the 3rd. I love how you've done all this math.
Yeah.
I mean, you copied it.
I
but
just copied it.
you copied somebody else's homework.
Yeah.
But, all right. So, yeah. So John the Baptist, 1 in 1,000.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Number 3 was the prophecy in Zechariah 9:9 that the Messiah would enter Jerusalem as a king riding on a donkey.
Mm-hmm. Or the foal of a donkey.
Right. That's right.
We've been watching this on The Chosen.
Yeah.
Really good.
So they said one man in how many who has entered Jerusalem as a ruler has entered riding on a donkey. And so they tried to estimate it at about 1 in 100 because mostly kings would come riding in on horses, not donkeys.
Right.
So 1 times 10 to the second.
Or depending on the era, probably in a chariot or whatever. But yeah.
Right. I mean, I wonder if there's even been more than 1. Right. Yeah. But
right.
they tried to be very realistic in their estimates to make it as probable as they could.
Yeah. Well, so Zechariah 13:6 says that the Messiah will be betrayed by a friend and suffer wounds in his hands. So how many the world over have been betrayed by a friend resulting in wounds in their hands? So this gentleman estimated that the chances of that are about approximately 1 in 1,000, which again, I think is probably low, but that's the probability that James George came up with.
Yeah. So that's about half of what we have. We've got 8 total.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to stop here and do the others next time
Okay.
because I know that you have something special that you prepared. I was going to make a joke about why we're wearing black. Do you want to tell people?
Well, I want to, before we do that, I just want to say there are 4 more that we covered in this topic, and we will hit those next time. But then we're going to go on and talk about the probability of each one individually. We're kind of doing as we do that. But then what would be the probability of one person, one man, fulfilling all 8 of those prophecies? And we're not even talking about all 300 of the ones that many experts agree that he fulfilled, at
Right.
least 300
Or 500.
or 500, but just the 8. And I think you'll find that pretty interesting. We're kind of just going through it fairly quickly and hitting these, skimming them almost. But when we get a chance next week to dig in a little bit more onto the probability, there's an illustration that Hillary found that I think you'll find really interesting. So, yeah, as far as the next thing, so it's kind of, I don't know. I don't want to make too big of a deal about it, or bittersweet. Maybe it's the wrong word, but I have a birthday this week, and so I'm turning 60. And
Happy birthday.
thank you.
You're welcome.
It's kind of a big deal. I'm trying to embrace it and not be too freaked out about it.
And we really did not wear black for the birthday.
It just kind of worked out that
when
way.
I saw what we were wearing, I was like, oh, that's
We were both getting
funny.
ready, and she had black on already, and I was like, all right, I can wear black.
Yeah,
and then
it
it's
looks
like,
so good.
We're going to talk about the birthday thing.
The 60th birthday.
Well, so I came up with a monologue. I came up with a writing, and I'm going to read it for you, but we're going to record that separately. And so we're going to cut to that, and then we'll come back for just a bit when it's done. So I've been thinking, I turned the big 6-0 this week. The big 6-0. And it's kind of got me reminiscing. I mean, I remember being a kid and thinking, being a kid is cool, but I can't wait to have more independence. I wish people would trust me with more responsibility. And then I turned 10 and I thought, this took a really long time to get to 10 years old. I mean, a whole decade. Wow. At this rate, I won't be old forever. But I'm getting there. No more single-digit birthdays. I remember turning 16 and thinking, finally, I wanted to drive for so long. I have more responsibility, more independence. People treat me differently. No more being a kid. I remember turning 18 and thinking, this is great. I'm an adult. I mean, technically, at 18, I finished high school. Big stuff. Everybody tells you how great you're doing, how far you're going to go. You can do anything you set your mind to. Then you turn 19. 19 is really just the freshman year of the rest of your life. You're in college, trade school, your first real job. It seems like somebody pushed a reset button, Because you went from being the king of the hill to just being that kid who doesn't know anything all over again. No more being a big fish in a small pond. I remember turning 20 and thinking, no one can argue with 20. I'm really an adult now. I'm not a freshman at anything. No more birthdays that start with a 1. During the first half of my 20s, I graduated college. I got married. I had an amazing son. I got divorced. I got fired from a job. I turned 25 and I thought, I'm a quarter of a century old and I'm not doing so good. During the second half of my 20s, I got reconnected with the one true God. I got married to the girl I've been looking for my whole life, and I started a new career. I had another amazing son. I remember turning 30 and thinking, I'm far from perfect, but I do feel like I'm kind of starting to figure this out. No more birthdays that start with a 2. During my 30s, I had another amazing son. We bought our first house, changed careers, had an amazing daughter, fell more deeply in love with my wife, had another amazing daughter. And I thought, all this responsibility it's a lot. But seriously, I wouldn't trade it for anything. I turned 39 and we moved our entire lives 600 miles and 3 states away. Started another career, all on the hope found in a prayer. I turned 40 and I said, life is an adventure. Let's give it all we got. No more birthdays that start with a 3. During my 40s, I noticed that being born in 1965 didn't get the same reaction it used to. I'm not the youngster anymore. Everyone expects me to know more than I actually know. They think that I should have it together more than I really do. I'm running a business and being a husband and a father. How did I get this much responsibility anyway? My 3 sons all graduated from high school, and I told them, you're doing great. You're going to go far. And you can do anything you set your mind to. We welcome 2 amazing granddaughters into the world, and I fell more deeply in love with my wife. I did, though, wonder why every single day seems to go by so fast. Then I turned 50. No more birthdays that start with a 4. During my 50s, I kept on running the same business. My 2 daughters graduated from high school. My best girl and I started a podcast. And we had the pleasure of celebrating a lot. College and technical school graduations, the birth of 3 grandsons and 1 more granddaughter, 4 kids' weddings, 30 years of marriage to my very best friend. My parents celebrated 60 years of marriage, and they retired, and my dad wrote his first novel. We did, though, mourn my mother, leaving us to be in heaven. In my 50s, I learned responsibility to the people you love is more valuable than independence. The independence that kid me thought was going to be so important, I think it's overrated. I learned the money that you spend raising your kids and helping them launch well, that's a better investment than guaranteeing a big fat bank account. I've also learned that whoever said the days are long, but the years are short, well, they're pretty wise. I think that's the voice of experience, because it turns out it really doesn't take forever to get old. This week, I turned 60, and the excitement of a birthday that younger me used to have, well, that's a distant memory, but I did figure out one of the keys is continuing to give it all I got, to look more forward than back. I'm still falling more deeply in love with my dream girl, and our 5th wedding of our 5 kids is in a couple of months. My dad, he's finishing his 2nd novel. So even though I have no more birthdays that start with a 5, I'm going to focus on being the best me that I could be. I'm going to keep doing what worked out pretty well so far. I'm going to keep God first, keep falling more deeply in love with my wife, and be there in whatever ways I can for my kids and grandkids. And one last thing, I'm going to never, ever give up. I'm pretty sure the rest of it will take care of itself.
Babe, that was so nice. I'm so glad you put that together. That was really sweet. Happy
Thanks.
Birthday.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
You called me your dream girl. What?
Yeah, you know you're my dream girl. I'll tell you that all the time. Yeah, my goal was to get through it without breaking down. I'm pretty sure if I had only run through it 8 or 10 more times, I could have done it.
Yeah. Do you know who your dad is? We love you. We love you, Dad.
Yes. Yeah. None of us gets to choose our DNA. I'm pretty happy with mine, but sometimes I'm like, why can't I get through this? Anyway, well, thank you for your time. We know it's valuable. We appreciate you joining us, and we're going to talk more about prophecies next time. Did you have anything else to say about that, Hillary?
Yeah, I predict that we will. No, I'm not going to make any predictions. I hope.
Don't oversell it.
That's right. I hope that next time we'll get to finish those 4 and then talk about the really cool analogy that goes with that. So
absolutely.
Yeah, it'll be our analogy example. What is it?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a
example.
Well, I'm drawing a blank.
I know, I can't think of that word.
Object lesson, sort of.
We've been stumbling over words, making up words, and forgetting words. We are old.
Yeah. I mean, it's only going to get better from here.
Never give up.
That's right. Thanks for joining us. We're David and Hillary, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.